Brad Sativa, man. I appreciate you doing this.
Man, I'm glad that you're having me.
Yeah, man. I came across you through Aaron Weber. You just did a show with him. You guys just did a show where?
In Auburn, Alabama, at
Auburn, Alabama. Yeah. Wow.
Crown of Comedy is the name of the club.
Yeah. Now, how did you two cross paths?
Well, me and Aaron actually started around the same time.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So we probably like maybe a month apart or something around there.
Mm.
And so we both start going to the open mics, since start seeing the same faces. We start
Yeah.
hitting multiple a week.
Hmm.
And we both were fortunate that we was funny pretty quick, what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Not that we was killing,
Hmm.
but able to like figure out what jokes like
Right.
sounded like relate to the crowd.
Right. Yeah. No, that's good. Now, you in Nashville all your life, right? Or are you just based there now?
I'm based here now. I'm from West Tennessee. I'm Tennessean, born and
West
raised.
Tennessee. Okay, how far, for context purposes, how far from Nashville is that?
Okay, so from Nashville, it's about 2 hours.
Oh, that's not
From
bad.
about an hour and a half.
Mm. Yeah, wow. So was the move to Nashville strictly for comedy?
No, so like I'm from the country. So so soon as I got out of high school, I
Hmm.
knew that I wanted to get out of West Tennessee because it's
Yeah.
just small. Just I didn't have enough options. So I went to Middle Tennessee State University, or MTSU,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Murfreesboro, and then after I graduated, I was actually doing songwriting, and I was working doing like sales, like corporate sales.
Oh, wow.
And so I was doing that for a substantial amount of years,
Hmm.
and I don't know, I got tired of doing that kind of the sales life, corporate America life,
Yeah.
and I quit. And then I started bartending and serving because it gave me more freedom and still could get money at a fairly decent rate. So
Sure. Oh, wow, that's great. Yeah, I'm stuck in that position right now. I'm in a sales job that I hate, trying to get out of it. Thing is, man, it's like once you become too comfortable, you have to force yourself to be uncomfortable right away because if you don't, you're stuck. And it takes forever to get out. So I'm in that spot right now trying to get out. Well, that's good. You end up getting out and you're doing what you're doing. But what was it like growing up back home? What was the family dynamic like? Any brothers, sisters?
so I'm my mother's only child.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So and my mom is the youngest out of all her siblings. So
Mm.
I'm the youngest out of all my first
You're the
cousins.
baby, huh?
Yeah, the baby, because she the baby, and then from there, my dad, I'm his youngest. He has
Mm.
two others that's older than me.
Wow.
But man, like I said, me and him, our relationship it is what it is. Like I do know him. It's not like he like was
Like he just disappeared. Yeah.
yeah, it wasn't. But just me and him, just like we just our thought process and where we view things, just
Right.
not the right.
That's good. I mean, it's good to have. I mean, it'd be. I don't know. I think it'd be too kind of crazy to have for anybody to have the same thought process as anyone. I mean, I think everyone should be a free thinker and be different, right?
Yeah, I think that's what's wrong with people now.
Oh, it's
Uh,
weird, man. It's so strange. Everyone tries to conform to this mold that we make up, like the societal mold. Like you have to do this, you have to say this, and you have to say it this way, or if you don't, this is what's going to happen. It's like what? No, it's never been like that ever. But
yeah,
now these things like are happening because of just things change.
yeah, because that's kind of my whole thing is that I'm not gonna I'm not somebody I'm not like an edge lord. I'm not one of the people who get off on saying anything or whatever.
Right,
But I'm not gonna let nobody censor me either.
right.
So it's certain words that I might say, and if I say them and the crowd acts a certain way, I'll push back at the crowd
Hmm.
because it's like I'm gonna apologize for some things because if anyone listens to any of my jokes, none of my jokes are in malice. I talk about all kind of different issues,
Yeah.
social issues. I talk about racial issues. I talk about America issues. I talk
Right.
about family issues, whatever.
Hmm.
But the whole thing is if you listen to what I'm doing and listen to what I'm saying, you'll
Hmm.
figure out that it's not coming from a place of malice. It's coming from a place of showing a different side or showing a different perspective. And
Right.
so
No,
that's kind
absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean, you hit it right on the head with that because there's the safe space that once, was given to people in comedy is now like it's fringy, right? It's like second guessing yourself and not being able to do what you used to do or do what you do. Um, you live in this fear, the per, the perspective possibility of someone whipping out a phone and posting something online, not posting the full version though, posting a version that's long enough to where it sounds bad, but all that get people canceled right away. So it is crazy. It is strange. And I don't know if you just saw like RuPaul on Jimmy. I think it was Jimmy Fallon. Did you see that video?
No, I didn't. Oh man, I
So
want to hear.
oh, it was bad. It was kind of scary. I've never seen Jimmy's face turn so red. So RuPaul was on and he was talking about, the drag queen thing. He's like, hey, this is the number one drag queen in the country. And RuPaul responds and goes, drag queen? And she paused for like a minute. And Jimmy's going, he goes, I am a drag queen. And she, like, it was scary. Like, for a moment, I mean, Jimmy thought he was going to get canceled.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like, that's where we are now, right? Like, it's just second guessing everything. But that's a whole nother rabbit hole we can go down. Comedy, man. I mean, what got you into it? I mean, you were growing up. Were you just, I mean, what was the drive then? Was college something on your mind? Did you go to school? If so, would you major in? How'd you fall into the trap of comedy? Not so much of a trap, but the hype, the thrill that comedy is.
Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah, it started, like I said, I'm back in West Tennessee. I grew up and raised by mostly women.
Mm.
So I found out at an early age that pretty much making them laugh, making them smile, I could get away with murder. And, it's like they couldn't stay mad at me. They couldn't, so I was pretty spoiled by most of the women in my family because of me knowing how to like use that to my advantage. And it was like, I wasn't doing it in a vindictive way. It was definitely, real. It wasn't me faking nothing, but it was also like that. It was just something that I realized early. But then growing up in like high school and everything, I played sports, did everything, felt music. Music is probably my actual number one love, for
Really?
sure.
Wow.
Yeah. Because that's, I don't know, I like from the church, church gave me like, where I say this, I have not been to church regularly since I've been 16 years old.
Same.
But the foundation that church gave, it was like I was in the choirs, I was around peers my age, so I was able to get in front of people early and do things. I got confidence, and just being around people, in front of people. That's why I'm not like awkward only child.
Yeah.
Pretty much was raised in the house as only child, but because I always had family, I always had church friends around. So I was not like some random person. I never just was by myself in a room.
You weren't sheltered. You were out there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, as soon as I got to high school, I kind of realized that I wanted to get out and not stay in such a rural area. I wanted to get out and experience different things. So went to MTSU. After I graduated, decided I wanted to stay around here. And like I said, then I was in music. I was doing management and marketing for music, working with some friends that I went to college with on that project. And it was cool. It was that was what I was doing, what I wanted to do. I was working corporate America, so I was super young. So where I didn't have any real responsibilities yet, so I had like a disposable income. So I was like, oh yeah, let's do this, let's invest this.
Yeah, this is great.
But then eventually it got to the point where it all kind of like grew apart in a way, just of different people wanting to handle their careers and handle management, marketing in different ways, both on both sides, mutual thing. Like still friends with them today.
Right.
But from there, to be for real, after I quit corporate America, I was selling weed for probably 2 years. And I was doing decent with that. But then I got into a little bit of trouble. And then when I got in a little bit of trouble, I was like, I don't know, I'm done. but I'm not going back to corporate America. So I was like, I want to work in the cash business. And so bartending and serving was a cash business that you can get paid every day.
Right.
So it was the closest thing. So for somebody who was used to selling weed, that's probably the closest, like somewhat of getting money every day and getting
You're a
cash.
businessman, right?
Yeah, it's just like that. Once you get used to spending cash every day,
Right.
Kind of weird to go back to a check kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I get that.
And so, but end up getting into bartending serving and worked bartending serving for like 9 years. So I just quit right before the pandemic, which was crazy. But it started actually me getting into comedy from working in restaurants.
Sure, I can see that.
I used to make a lot of money from tables. 'Cause I used to make them laugh all the time.
One-liners with customers, engaging with them.
Yeah, just picking with them and saying all kind of crazy stuff. That's when I first started working in the service, and that's when the Bachelorette scene started blowing up in Nashville.
Oh, gosh.
So we would get all these bachelorettes, so these women like 10 groups of 15. Just as a dude, I'm just cracking jokes, making all kind of things. So I would make a lot of money, but then my coworkers like, "You funny? Y'all should try this. You should try comedy." I'm like, and I fought it for like 2 or 3 years from like 2 different jobs. People tell me I was real funny. I should try it. And then one day, it was me and one of my other coworkers. We was talking about wanting to do an open mic, and we decided on the day. We're like, all right, we're gonna go next Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
And then when that next Tuesday came, he decided that he picked up a shift and went to.
Gosh.
And then I went to the open mic and
by yourself.
Went by myself. Oof. This is what happened though. So when I went to the mic, I didn't even plan on going up that night. I'm just gonna like catch it in. Like I said, I'm not really a huge comedy fan. And so so the whole time I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna go and catch it. I'm gonna see what this look like.
Right.
And then the guy that I worked with in the bar industry, his roommate walks in. His roommate used to be a Nashville comic like all the time, but then he ended up with his country band, like doing hosting and merch sales for him.
Oh,
wow.
And
so he seen me in there. He was like, "Brad, what you doing here? You thinking about doing comedy?" I'm like, "Yeah, man." I'm like, I've been thinking about it. Well, he was like, so he grabbed he knew the host. So he went and got the host, got the notebook from the host, and they gave me an empty list. They said, sign up wherever you want to go. And I signed up like 7th. And I didn't even know I was going up the day I went up for the first time. So,
man, that was me. I've done a couple of them, but that was the same thing for me. I went there with my friend, and he actually does it. He's a local guy. He just does it himself. And he's making moves, and it's nice to see where he's going with it. But I had to make sure he was there. If I was like, I wouldn't have done it without him, because I felt like there was that support. Yeah. Like there was someone there, you know? And I did the same thing. I walked in, I signed up 8th, and I was like, there was 1 through 8 were blank. Yeah. Signed up 8th. 3 people showed up. So then I had to end it, and it was terrifying. I had no aspirations of going up, but it's like once you get up there the first time, even for me, because I do more music open mics than anything. I do those all the time. After the first time, it's like they have to pull you off. It's you can't. It's wanting to get back up there again and again and again, but it's just so intimidating that first time. How'd that go for you? Did it work out? Were you embarrassed? I know I was. I was like, oh, it sucked. That was horrible. I mean, what was the reception like?
Yeah, it was. It was a decent reception. It wasn't like I didn't like murder,
right?
Nothing like that. It was 24 people on the list that night.
Wow.
And so I was right there in the middle at 7th, and by the end, I was like, well, I was pretty right in the middle. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I felt like my set was an average set. Like, cause I'm pretty honest with myself. I'm not one of the people who blow smoke up my ass and nothing like that. But I don't know if you cuss on here. Sorry.
No, you're good, man. Don't worry about it.
But yeah, so I went on like toot my own horn. So I'm like, that was all right. And Bob's like, it's enough. I got tried again. And then so I think like a week later I came back and did one.
Right.
And it went a little bit better. And then I kept coming back and started going twice a week. I started going 3 times a week. And I started going out 4 times a week.
Off to the races.
So yeah, so for the first 2 months though, it's this is a crazy story. For the first 2 months that I did comedy, I would just kind of crowd work or whatever happened that day. And you know what I'm saying? And which I tell a lot of comics now that I kind of, these young guys that start, like, I did the same thing. So I'm not judging them. I'm telling them that it's a point where you got to start pivoting out of it. And so,
Sure.
like, I wasn't even thinking in that way, because the whole thing is I wasn't even trying to be the comedy I was trying to do is be like, oh man, I just want to be a party comedy. You know, I want to do party comedy. I want to do with people just having a good time, and like that's what that was my focus was at. And so I'm just having a good time, kind of like hosting a party kind of feel on the vibe. But then I went to Denver, and I had this trip planned. I went to Denver for 420, which is kind of
yeah, big day.
But it's my first time. It's the first time I ever went out to Denver ever. But then I didn't even do comedy. I went out there just to do, like, I was only 2 months in.
Yeah.
And so I went out there and I figured out, like, I'm looking at some stuff, and I seen this. We went to a Snoop Dogg commercial, not commercial, but concert. So after the Snoop Dogg concert, I looked at his crowd, and he was like, everybody out there, he's like, yeah, everybody pull out a joint, pull out what you smoke, let's smoke one. Awesome. And then so as I'm looking around the crowd, it's like 50-year-olds, 60-year-olds, 20, 18, every age group. And then there's white people, black people, Mexican, Puerto Rican. It's like every race, every gender,
the whole world, every economic
every economic system. It was like nobody. You couldn't put this type of person is supporting Snoop, because literally every type of demographic, you know what I'm saying, was supporting Snoop because they were Snoop Dogg fans.
Right.
So at that point, I had the epiphany. It was like, all right, this is what I want my fans to look like. This is the type of people I want to relate to, because these people are going to have a common ground. I want to be that common ground, a bridge. Like, you know, that's kind of like came to focus there. And then I came back from Denver. My roommate, one of my roommates, we had two roommates. Both of them was DJs, and they both did other stuff too. But they were both like, one of them was like one of my best friends for life. My other one, he's still a real good friend too. But he just he was like, "What the hell you do, Brian? What the hell you Denver for? You could have did this. You could have did that. You could have did this." There. He was like, "So what's your plan? You want a smart dude? No, what's your plan?" I'm like, man, comedy, bro. I'm doing comedy. And then when I said that, he was like, "So you think that you can make it doing comedy? Do you think that, like, you know how many people try comedy? You know how many people, like, you know how, like, so you just telling me what I can't do."
Debbie Downer.
Yeah, man. So that pissed me off so much.
Go. Yeah.
I cut the argument off after that. I was like, "All right, man. All right, I hear you. Cool." And so they just put a chip on my shoulder. And then for the next, for the first 2 months I was in, I was, like I said, just kind of bouncing around, figuring it out. But for the next 2 months, I started writing. And I started learning how to fucking write. And I started writing jokes, start figuring out. And I started going to these open mics, and I started doing real well. And I started killing at these open mics. And then, so that other 2 months passed. So, like, by this time, I'm 4 months in on comedy, and then I get booked for my first show.
Wow.
This is in 2015. So that's I get booked for my
recent. This is all still kind of fairly new.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow.
So it was I remember the date. It was June 26, 2015. That was the first time that I booked show. And then from that date into pretty much to December 31st, I did 40 shows. And I just started getting booked, and people just started booking me, and then people kind of sharing about me, and then I don't know, start traveling around and start doing more. So yeah,
that's great. So you worked in music. What exactly? I know you said marketing and stuff like that, but what were the projects like? What were you working on? What artists? I mean, what was your role within the music industry? I know you said marketing, stuff like that. What exactly did you do? Who'd you work with?
Okay, so I worked with several different like local artists in Nashville at this time, but also worked with a lot. Oh shoot! Sorry about that.
You're good, man.
Also, though, I worked with a lot of different producers in this area, which a lot of people don't know, that Nashville has a great level of producers, and I'm talking not country music, like actual like rap, R&B, pop. We have like amazing producers here, And some of the producers I worked with back then, they do stuff for people, some of the top 25 from Yo Gotti, Young
Right.
Dolph, kind of people that's on the charts they've done stuff for.
That's awesome.
But then artists, I would connect artists, do networking where I would bridge this artist with this artist. I would do some executive producing. I would do songwriting where I would write a lot of the choruses for songs.
No kidding. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
So yeah, just did everything. And then by the end of it, I was actually focusing more on songwriting when I actually started getting into comedy.
Wow.
And yeah, I was doing that. And so when I first started actually comedy, I would do comedy like a couple of days, and I would go to the studio a couple of days a week. But then it got to the point where people started paying me for the comedy. So I was like, all right, man, we're gonna put this
what am I going to do?
Yeah. And then, like I said, like I love comedy. And like when I say I'm not a comedy fan, I am not a comedy fan, but I do love comedy.
Elaborate on that.
Okay, so I'm not a person that was an out seeker of comedy. Like I seem like my biggest comedy influence came from when I was a child. So Def Comedy Jam.
Okay, yeah.
Comic View, those HBO specials and stuff like that. That's where like I got comedy from, like as a child. But once I got in high school, man, we was like, maybe the only thing I can remember from high school is the Kings of Comedy. And that was like, and then from when college, the only thing I can really, is two things I can really remember from college on, I'll say three. We would, from my own personal self, I remember the Jamie Foxx album, album and special where he was singing on the piano. And that was like, I thought it was amazing.
Right.
And Dave Chappelle show, because of my fraternity, when that show came out. And yeah, so that was the time they used to give us a break back in that days. And then yeah, so I'm just the first time maybe even somewhat flirting with something kind of like stand-up is why I used to host this show for my fraternity. It was a step show, and it was for like the Panhellenic Greeks, and we could sell out the theater, get 1,000 seats, sell it out.
Wow.
And yeah, I would host it and crack jokes sometimes, and sometimes they would work. And so, but yeah.
Wow, man. So dang, I didn't know that it was still fairly fresh, fairly new for you. I do find that interesting though, that it wasn't like you never sought it out, like you were never a big engrossed in it as a fan. You just kind of came naturally to you. You liked it, but you weren't fully into it. Like I love comedy, right? So it's like I've always been into it. You just kind of, it came at a certain time in your life, and that's how it came to you. You didn't seek it out. It found you.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow.
And also when I say I'm not a fan, it's like the people who I like the most in comedy are my friends. And I just because friends. Like my friends are very talented because like, I'm the travel and got friends all over. And then also locally. But even from when the first, like some of the first people I came up with, like with Aaron Weber, Jordan Jensen, she's up in New York. She stayed in Nashville for her first year and a half of comedy, moved to New York. And she did the last Just for Laughs before.
Oh, wow.
So it's just, to know the people that I know that we came up with that's really are funny is kind of cool. Like Laura Peak is another funny comic. Katie Hughes. My cousin, I got a cousin in Atlanta, super fun. I got like really a cousin and a half. We from distance. David Perdue, Marlon Ballard. I got a lot of people that's very funny that I'm fortunate that I know is on the cusp of being the next big comics.
Right.
And that's the I'll look at, and that's the people I support more than like regular comedy, like stuff.
Yeah, no, I got you there. So what is it? Are you doing this thing, comedy full time right now?
Semi-full.
What do you do in addition to that still?
In addition to that, I do a thing where I set up meetings for people and like set them up with Google, which is funny.
Wow.
But yeah, I've been doing that since October. I see it running this course until about the end of this year.
Yeah.
And then, then jump in full time in the comedy. Because people who, I was one of the people, I went full time right before the pandemic. And then that's That's why I jumped back into the regular world
Mm.
for a few months, because like, oh, I got to make up. It's like I got to make
dejecting.
up. Yeah, and then when I work from home too, so I can kind of like take it with me. Like I took it with me on the road before, and work from a hotel and get my work in a few hours and have the rest of my day kind of thing.
Wow, that's crazy. So, what was what has it been like though for you as far as mentally? Have you made any decisions or made any goals as far as trajectory or moving as far as the comedy goes? Do you plan on being Nashville based, for the long haul? Do you plan on relocating, moving out, and branching off as everything starts to pick up again and starts to ramp up as far as traction goes?
So that's it's kind of getting weird here in Nashville, where I was getting before the pandemic. I was getting ready to move to Chicago.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so Chicago's my favorite city
The
to
best,
do.
yeah.
And then it just because I just historically of what it means,
Hmm.
and so in comedy, I know, what I'm saying, for the last pretty much 40 years, they snatched somebody the gold of TV from Chicago almost every for the last 40. So for me, it's more or less like I want to go there for that. But since the pandemic like started, Nashville has been re-altered. It's been different. The whole thing is like, look at this, like the Nate Land podcast, even for instance.
Oh, I love that.
That I ain't gonna say that the podcast never would have happened,
Right.
but that happened because of the pandemic.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That happened in the middle of the pandemic. That Nate had extra time. You know what I'm saying? So you kind of like, if a person like me and purple, like, you know what I'm saying, you got people like Nate and other people, you can like, oh, I can make whatever I'm giving, I can make this something special. I can make it different. So we had a lot of people move here. Theo Vaughn lives here. We got Josh Wolf lives here. Angela Johnson.
Oh yeah.
Steve Burns. We got all the conservative talking heads moved here.
There's been a shift in the culture.
Yeah, it has been a big shift, and it's been a lot of eyes on Nashville right now. And for a person like me, I'm not like the lead head front guy, but I am one of the guys like on that. Like I am on that train though. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I'm cool. You know what I'm saying? Right now, I'm gonna go ahead, get aboard that train, get this taken care of here, and then we'll see where I move if I go anywhere after that. But I feel like it's so much stuff I can do here before I even touch anything else, where I could be financially set before I can even go to a New York, Chicago, LA, Denver. You know what I'm saying? And that's the whole thing now is like, because of the internet, you don't really even need to move to the coast like you used to back in the day.
See, that's the other thing too. It's like I mean, especially over the pandemic, right? I mean, there's been so many people who've cultivated this following and this audience on TikTok, right? So now you have the system and the algorithm is infiltrated with these, insta fame, quick fame individuals who are flooding the system and making it kind of harder, just even for traditional comics to move on through, which is kind of, I mean, some people I've talked to, it's aggravating in that sense because people are getting rich quick, 15-year-old girls in their bedroom. You have someone busting their chops, trying to make an honest living, doing what they love, who, is still stuck in, that same spot for some people. That's the other thing too, is what is your take on that? I mean, obviously you can't control that, right? It's just everything's getting bigger, better, faster. Things are more advanced. Technology is just the way it goes, just the way it's gonna go. But is that something that is hard to evolve and adapt to on the fly, because this stuff just keeps coming at you, a million miles per hour each and every day?
Yeah, it's different. I can say this is probably what helped me to keep it kind of, I guess, an eye on it. Right before I graduated college, I graduated with a marketing degree. That's where my expertise is in marketing, the administration, stuff like that. But before I graduated, one of my professors was like, "Hey, we glad y'all did well in this class. Y'all did well getting ready to graduate and get y'all degrees. But because y'all are in marketing, it was like technology is going to move different. And
Right.
so the degree that y'all just got in 2 years, tech wise, is going to be obsolete if you don't keep up.
Yeah.
And that was like over a decade ago. You know what I'm saying? So now it's moving semi-annually, quarterly for some companies,
Sure.
and tech updates of how it's moving. So for myself, it's like, I'm not one of the people, I'm not on, like, I do have a TikTok, but I don't really TikTok, and it's too many kids on there.
It's too time consuming.
Yeah, it's just so
It's a
many
black
kids.
hole, man.
Yeah, I don't want to see like twerking and then trying to see how, you know what I'm saying? I like to know the wormholes I go down,
Yeah.
you know? So yeah, so that's one reason, but I'm gonna get somebody to handle that for me though. I'm just gonna throw them a little money and just let them post all that stuff.
Test it, see how it works, because it seems like you have to be posting in order, like, I find it frustrating, right? There's people keep talking about this algorithm and stuff. Oh, you gotta hit this, you gotta hit that. It's like, I mean, it's just weird. Why does it have to be so difficult in that sense? Like, there's so many people out there. Like, there's a comedian, Mike Young, very funny dude. He's been doing it forever, who has little to no following on social media. And I talked to him about it. He goes, dude, I don't even care about it. It's so difficult. I tried to pay someone to do it. It just felt weird. I don't have the time or energy to devote myself to that. All I do is devote my time, energy, and passion to writing jokes and just doing comedy. It's, unless you have someone handling it, I mean, it's so hard to keep up with.
It is hard to keep up with, and but it's like this though. It's at the end of the day, it's like, do you want to hold yourself back or not? I know it is a lot. I could be doing more on content wise than I do, but at the same time, I'm not gonna let that hold me back.
Right.
I've ramped up more of my content in the last maybe month than I have, because now I've even created more of a system where I can kind of continually push loose something out.
Sure.
But yeah, I don't complain though, because I don't care, because at the end of the day, that's somebody else's hustle.
Right.
And you don't know who's doing it. You know what I'm saying? What if some guy broke and he got kids and he broke and he's living with his mama and he on this and he start doing some videos online and he able to take care of his whole family. Power to him. He might not be funny on the stage, but who am I?
He's being productive. He's doing something.
He's doing something. He could just be sitting around doing nothing.
Right.
And so that's what I don't hate on them people. I even like opening up with them people, because that's the whole thing, because they fans are real fanatical. Right. So it don't matter. It don't matter how funny they are. As long as they in their character or whatever, they're gonna have a good time. So I don't work with a lot of them like internet stars. You go up there, I can kill. Then people like be like, oh man, you was so funny. You was the funniest one tonight. And then go and pay VIP and take pictures with their favorite internet personality. So that's how I look at it. I can be the funniest comic on most of them shows, but they still gonna have their favorite internet personality that they willing to spend money. But I'm just an addition. So that's how I look at it. You know what I'm saying? Then a lot of that too, you work with them people that fans are active social media use. I've done shows like that. You lead the shows, you got 60, 70 followers. It happens. You know what I'm saying? Just that's why, I don't know. I feel like I'm one of the ones with something eventually hit on the internet. It's going to be like, oh, and then they come to the show and then it's going to be 10 times better than what they thought from the internet.
Right. No, absolutely. So when you're not up on stage, what are you doing right now? I see you're branding, right? You got your own brand. You design all that stuff too. Talk a little bit about the brand.
Yeah. So I pretty much, I will say that it's arrogant, but it is also true. Like, I reset the merchandise like standard in like this area and probably even the Southeast.
Yeah.
Because I came off rip with expensive merch. I didn't start with t-shirts. I didn't start with like stickers and all the buttons and stuff. I started with my hats, which this is one of them right here.
I like it. Yeah.
And yeah, I started out with those hats. I started out with 10 of them though. It's like, that's all I had the budget for. But I sold those 10. I sold 7 of those 10 in 24 hours, and then went and got some more. It was like I said,
that was your pilot. That was your test.
Yeah, it started like it's sold like weed, literally, bro. As I used to use it like weed. It's like you know, so I get it, I double that money, go back, buy a bigger order. Yeah, get that, sell all them off, come back, buy a bigger order.
Mm-hmm.
So like the first time, I remember telling my merch guy, I'm like, hey, yeah, man, when I get these hats, I'm gonna be banging them. And the whole thing with him is that he's a merch guy. And so he hear people say this shit all the time.
He's like, yeah, wow.
Then them first 2-3 months at the end of the year, because I started in like the end of October.
Mm-hmm.
And so much of that, I'm talking about at least so of just of what I paid in. And what I paid in probably paid in about 3,000-4,000.
Oh, wow.
Merch wise, you know, anywhere from, for me, 50% to, you know what I'm saying, 65%, you know what I'm
Holy
saying?
cow.
But the whole thing though is I make real quality merch though. I don't make t-shirts. All my t-shirts are like fitted. They don't shrink. I don't do them Gildens or whatever.
Yeah.
All my next level, Bella Canvas, you know what I'm saying? Like all my, so it been, this how I started. So I used to do a joke all the time. It's on my album. It's called Snicker Litter. It's pretty much just and so I pretty much created the Snicker kind of knockoff, but in the and then kind of switch some stuff around to make it where it was all mine.
That's great.
And so from there, I had that idea and I did it. Then my friend came up like, yeah, let's do it like this. We should add this to it. And then we did that initial one.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started had these hats going for a while. And then they was like, oh, shoot, let me start doing some Antica hats. And then I started doing Antica hats. And then I started, and I'll say this, when I did snapbacks, flat bills, that's the ones I came out with first. But people would be like, well, you know what I'm saying? I don't really wear snapbacks. I wear dad hats. So I was like, okay, you know, as a person, you know what I'm saying? You could be like, oh, they don't like my stuff. But I just took that as advice. So I started getting dad.
More SKUs.
And then they started being like, oh, I don't really wear hats. I wear beanies. So I started getting
another
beanies.
one. Yeah.
And then people started saying, I don't really wear hats. I'm a hoodie person. So I started getting hoodies. And then, so just listen to people's suggestions. And then I wanted to do this one with my bear logo.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
And then it just, like I got my friend, her name Holly Carden. And we talked about what I wanted. And then I sent her a picture. And then she just pretty much used my picture and made a bear out of the internet. And then from that step, then it went to the gummy bears, which the three gummy bears, and then that's still with the pose of my face as a bear onto the gummies. And then so yeah, that's my 3 main logos that I got. I got a few more coming out later on. But yeah.
That's awesome. So yeah, no, I was gonna say, so that obviously that marketing background, then you use that there. I mean, you're developing that brand, you're developing that following, and I mean, it seems like just from on social media, I mean, there's so many people. I mean, you've achieved that target demographic from, you know, that you saw the Snoop Dogg concert. Like I see in these hashtags or on Instagram, they put, you know, hashtag Sativa. You see all this stuff. I mean, very diverse. It's everything you were hoping for and everything you were targeting, and it's all coming naturally. It's all done by you. I mean, and you see this stuff. Do you see this stuff popping up too when you're on the road too, like in different cities? People repping the brand elsewhere too, not just in Nashville.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, that's incredible.
Like Denver, I went out. I said it just Denver, Chicago. It's even Chicago comics. It's a lot of Chicago comics that got Sativa.
Really?
Yeah, man. Some of Chicago's favorites. You know what I'm saying? So
Kelvin Evans, you heard of him?
Now I know Kelvin Evans. I met like once, but people like Chris Higgins.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's my people. Joy Villagomez.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, a lot of them my people. They rock Sativa up there, man. They support. The people got beanies up there and sweatshirts and hoodies, and yeah, it's I've been getting support and love from a lot of people, man, up there. So that's another one up there. It feels like home. That's like for real, one of my second homes. I got a lot of comedy homes. I spend a lot of time like really hanging out, you know, with a lot of different scenes, and not just like going there for one night. As I stay 2-3 days, 4 days in a thing. So I got to know a lot of comics.
Immerse yourself in the culture and get a good feel for the vibe.
For sure.
Okay, but you mentioned Chicago though. What was it about it that you consider home away from home? I mean, what was the what what did it for you? I mean, what made that place just feel right?
It just kind of like I said the same thing. I just knew when I started doing comedy here,
Mm-hmm.
like I told you, I started getting pretty good pretty
Mm-hmm.
quick.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people were like, "Oh yeah, you funny in
You
Nashville,
need
but
to
if you
go there. If you go there,
you go
yeah, yeah, right,
if you go to DC, it's gonna be. If you go to Atlanta, if you go to Chicago, if they start naming
right.
these places, they gave me a checklist. You know what I'm saying? And I do have like some roots to Chicago, just because
Really?
my granddad was living in Chicago when he passed
Huh.
away.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
yeah, then my uncle, my grandma's brother lived in Chicago, so his whole family still stays in Chicago. So I got a lot of cousins still in
You got
Chicago.
some
So
roots up there.
yeah, yeah. So it's not just I'm not just like, all the way out the loop of Chicago,
Right.
but yeah, it's from that though, it's just the nostalgia behind it, the hype of Chicago, the lights of it, because I would say this, like Chicago probably has like some of the best comics in the country. Like, and when I say that, it's like it's a lot of people that you'll see in Chicago. Like, oh yeah, one day they're gonna be something,
Right,
you
right,
know.
right.
Kind of, and you know what I'm saying. You don't necessarily get that vibe everywhere you go,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes you can. You know what I'm saying. But Chicago, I get that a lot, and as the people up there, you see them working, and to see people working hard, and you know what I'm saying, it's motivational. You know what I'm saying, especially because and
You
people in
draw
that.
from that. It drives you.
Yeah, people didn't understand that until maybe the last 2 years, like in the last 2 years from here.
Mm.
You know
Wow.
what I'm saying? Yeah, I've been hustling around since I started. But a lot of people just started figuring out, oh, you gotta hustle around. You gotta get out of
Yeah.
here, get out. You gotta go and meet these people. And you know what I'm saying? And now people understand that now from this city. So that's why our city is able to benefit off of that now, getting out of town and meeting people, networking, booking people from out of town. And so yeah, I'm glad we're doing that. But Chicago just knowing that some of the best people and just earning the respect.
Right.
It's like it's only a few things that's left on my Chicago checklist that I've not done there yet, and which is the Lincoln Lodge, because every time I go,
Oh
it was
yeah.
out. And then I got to do the downtown Zanies. But
Oh yeah.
other
Off
than
Wells Street, Old Town.
everything, other than that, I did everything else. I
You
done
did
done Laugh.
Rosemont?
You said I did Rosemont.
Oh
I
wow.
done,
When'd you do that one?
I did that 2 years. I did 2 years in a row.
Really?
Uh,
Wow.
yeah. Well, I used to go to Chicago every week like for Chicago, not every week, Chicago for a week
There you
every
go.
year. Uh, every year, like I spend like the last week of July in
Mm-hmm.
Chicago,
Oh
and
wow.
then come back usually somewhere in the middle, like 2 or 3
Mm-hmm.
days. So I spent like probably outside. I probably spent the most days in Chicago in the last 4 years in any city.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah, I probably spent 50, 60 days there. Um, but yeah, but yeah, just being around it is like I've done, like I said, been able to do Chicago Underground. The first show I ever got booked for in Chicago is Camp at Village Tap. RP Sam Berkman. She was the first person that booked me in Chicago.
That's
Love her.
awesome.
I'm gonna love her for life. She's a good person. Was the best person ever. She's the first person that booked me for Chicago.
You'll never.
And
You always remember that.
yeah, for sure. For sure. She booked me because we actually had a conversation. She booked me. It wasn't all based off necessarily the comedy tape. It was based off us having a conversation. And it was like, yeah, she was like, yeah, you cool, bro. You're a cool dude. Yeah, yeah. So it's like, you understand. It was like,
She
it just
never
really,
checked out the comedy stuff. She just entrusted. She just felt that, yeah, let's do it. Let's give him it. But she never saw any of that stuff from you though.
yeah, she did see, like, you got to email everybody in
Right, right,
Chicago.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I understand that my tape wasn't the decision maker of her booking me. It was the conversation that we were having.
Based off
More,
the vibe.
yeah, for sure.
That's
You
awesome.
know, and then I came through, I did my part, and then like, yeah, so just built a friendship with her and Tesla. But yeah, Sam, like Toby, them my people. Yeah,
That's
all that.
great, man. Now
Yeah, like
you got your own show at Zany's Nashville, right? You do this brunches of laugh. Talk about, I mean, how'd that come to be? I mean, to do your own, it's a showcase, I think, right? You do
Yep,
your
it
own
is.
showcase. How were you able to get that thing to get the ball rolling on that? I mean, that's Zany's Nashville Premier Club. Obviously, it's I was just there for the first time. It's amazing. Drove 8 hours just to go see the Nate Land show. How did that all come to be?
It's so I started working the club more, getting back
Mm,
and getting to rotation there. But before then, I was like in the city, I was booking a lot of shows.
mm,
And so I had hosting experience. I had experience of promoting shows.
sure.
And I approached them with the idea of doing the show.
Hmm.
And then they was like, yeah, let's try, let's see how it goes. And then at that time, I was like, okay, I got this show. I want I want to rotate women comics to co-host it with me.
Hmm.
And so it was Laura Peak, which was like my little sis. I was like, yeah, let's go ahead. I'm gonna let you do it first, host it with me. And then I don't know, something about our chemistry on that show it went so well that I never got to bring nobody else to co-host. She was end up being my
That
permanent.
was it. She was the one.
Yeah, then we started co-producing the show. So it started from me coming up with the idea to me kind of to me facilitating some like the first few shows to us making decisions together, being able to co-produce a real quality show.
Using the marketing background.
Yeah, and she's from Nashville, so she knew the lay of the land even better than I did. And then yeah, so we was able to feed off each other's energy
Hmm.
and others' different backgrounds and education and use it to make a good quality show. Book some of the best comics in the country, have some of the best pop-ins in the country. And then from that, we did it for like 2.5 years, and then
Wow.
we both started traveling a lot more. So then we put the show on hiatus for a little bit, and then Laura actually ended up moving to LA.
Mm. Oh, wow. Big move.
LA right before, like a month before COVID.
Oof.
Yeah, and so during COVID, we was talking, and they was like, "Hey, do you want to get back, start doing brunch again?" I was like, "Yeah, we might as well. Time to do something." It's like
Right.
time to, and so I was able to jump back out there, start doing brunch, and started doing it again. We've been doing it since I think October,
Ah, that's great.
and we've been able to maintain and build on the audience. Has become one of the best fun shows in town. Jack Daniels is the sponsor of the show now.
Wow.
So yeah, it's got to be building more. We're gonna be traveling more with it. I got one that I'm announcing probably a couple weeks. That's we taking it out of town, and it's gonna be the first one that's gonna be
That's awesome.
in a different coast.
That's great. So you're gonna try to bring the showcase to different cities.
Different cities all over. Just
That's
bring the
incredible. That's
so
awesome,
yeah.
man. Good stuff. So what's coming up here as far as shows go for you? This is going to drop tomorrow, the episode. So what shows do you have coming up? Anything coming up in the next few weeks?
Yeah, so this is dropping tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll actually be shoot. I shouldn't have said it so quick, like I know who I'm opening for. But I think
It's okay. I'll chop. This is the part where I'll start to chop stuff up, and I'll plug the dates, and then I'll fill it in. Don't worry about it.
yeah, I think his name like Shane Smith is the guy
Shane's.
the guy who blew up on Dry Bar with all the tats. I know how.
That's how
Yeah,
you remember.
for real. That's that's how I really knew him. Cause now I remember seeing it before. Then they was like,
Mhm.
"Hey, you want to open?" I'm like, "Yeah, I open for him." And then when I tried to research it, like he was on Dry Bar. And then when I went to his Instagram, he was cussing. So I was like, "All right, cool." Then. I was
Yeah.
like, "Cool dude." Like he'll be a cool dude to hang around. Like I said, I don't care if you don't cuss or not, but as long as you just not too like. Sometimes I don't
If
know.
it's not a big, if it doesn't encompass all your act, that's fine. But if it's every single bit, that's just a
Yeah,
little. It's not. I don't know. It's not enjoyable. Like it's like I don't know. It's not as a. It's admirable if you can if you can not cuss at all and get a room going. That's admirable. It's
yeah.
okay if you do it, but to have it be most of the act, that's just I don't know. I
That's
don't find that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Aaron Weber. Shoot, that's most. See, that's the other thing. I'm like literally is cliche, like one of the black sheep, and it's not skin tone. It's just because most of the comics in Nashville are clean comics that are successful.
Yeah, but you're not
ones.
that bad. I mean, you're not. I mean, it's not. I mean, compared to what is it? You're not over the top. I mean, it's just there's nothing.
Yeah,
About your stuff. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, I listened to the album, the petty stuff. I mean, there's nothing. I wouldn't even consider it in that category. I mean, I would just consider it just plain old comedy.
well, appreciate that. I'm observation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I talk the way I talk, and there's just if it cuss words come out, that's how it is kind of thing.
Right.
But when I say that, I ain't saying it in a negative way. I'm just saying
I know.
Dusty Slade and Nate Bagatti, Aaron.
Oh, Dusty's
Brian.
Funny. Yeah.
Yeah, all these people are funny, but they're none of them cuss. You know what I'm saying?
We're having a good time.
We probably got the best clean comics in the comedy. I put Nashville clean comedy up against anybody clean comedy in the country. So yeah, next weekend, I'm gonna be in Huntsville, Alabama for the Epic Comedy Hour 10-year anniversary. Is gonna feature some of the best comics around the country.
Oh, wow.
Scott Easton and Tim Kelly been booking that show for a decade, made it
Awesome.
one of the premier shows in the Southeast. So we're doing a 2-day anniversary show. But in between that, I gotta come up here on the 24th, and I'm doing brunch at Zany's.
There you go.
On the 24th, and that's gonna be at 2 p.m. And we do that monthly, and it's gonna be on 24th this month, 2 p.m. Got mimosas, Bloody Marys, always good. Man. Got a great lineup. And then I'm gonna be in Denver, September the 7th through September the 14th.
Oh, wow.
I'm just gonna post the dates.
That's a big week.
Yeah, people just look on the Instagram for that because I'm gonna do a lot of shows on that.
Wow.
Because be able to remember the ones, just like knock them off my head.
Too many.
It's gonna be a good. But no, they love me out there because I'm like they the good type of people that I hang with. They they got a lot of stuff in common and chill. I love them, man. That's one of my favorite things too. You know what I'm saying? Things that I get a lot of love with because I love them because they got some good comics that is out there working and hustling, and it's not there. So them type of people myself with.
Right, man. Well, hey, Brad, I appreciate you doing this, dude.
Yeah, for sure, man. I'm glad I could do it, Christian, for sure.
You bet, man. Take care.
All right, you have a good one, bro.
All right, bye.